Chapter 44. Before we got there, I figured it'd be a good idea to make some plans. We'd done some planning, as far as what weapons to bring back at the saloon, but mostly we had just said things like, I aim to kill that son of a bitch, or that fella's gonna be feeding Torp's hogs when I get through with him. That's not really planning. That's just a bunch of rough talk. Okay, I said. Here's what I think we should do. If you disagree, speak up. Good, no disagreements. But you ain't said anything, Johnny said. I was just joshing. Baxter's got 10 sticks of dynamite. I want him and Merle to wait for my signal. Well, what's your signal? You'll know it, I said. Truth is, I had no idea what the signal would be. I just knew there had to be one. In fact, my whole plan was centered around it. I want you to come in from the east, the main entrance, where we were the other day. Find a place to hunker down, some place where you can conceal yourselves yet also heave sticks of dynamite from. We already know from our last visit there will be 2 sentries on horseback, so you'll have to deal with them in the dark. Baxter pulled out the knife he'd been sharpening earlier, which gleamed wickedly in the setting sun. I know just what to do with them two, he said. Just, don't get too carried away. Hap and Frank and Red and Johnny and myself are going to circle around and come at the ranch from the west, up on that ridge overlooking the main house. Bernie, you and your men will wait for my signal. What's the signal again? You'll know it, I lied. Okay. And once you hear it, I want you to sweep in on them. Try to round up their horses. Once it goes down, I don't want anyone escaping. Got it? Okay, now does anyone have any thoughts on this plan? All was quiet. Even Frank, who usually liked to chastise us in one way or another, kept quiet. I figured that meant it was a good plan, and considering it was my first, I was right proud of myself. We got off our horses and stretched our legs and drank some water. Red drank more whiskey, and gnawed on some jerky and bragged a good bit about how many people we were going to kill and scalp and clobber, and waited for the sun to go down a little bit more. Mayfair's house was under a mesa, and the sun set to the west, so we were likely to stand out too much if the sun was still at our backs. Johnny made a big show of practicing his quick draw, which was fast, but not nearly as fast as any of the Bonkamp brothers. Lucky for him, they were all dead. He was good at twirling them, though, I'll give him that much. I wondered if one day some fellow who was faster than him might show up in some town he was in and call him out just to make a name for himself. I would have hated to see that. I'd grown to like Johnny Ringo. It was a life he'd chosen for himself, though. Once you give them riders something to sink their pens into, there's no going back. Johnny got that part right, and it was something I would learn the hard way over the years. You expecting to get in a duel? Frank asked. Maybe, Johnny said. We're coming after him in the dark. If I were you, I'd not be worrying about your quick draw. Noted, Johnny said. He walked off a bit to be alone with his quick draws. Baxter checked the dynamite and set to cutting different lengths of fuse from the spool of fuse string. He lit a piece about a foot long to get the timing right. Think I should light one of these sticks to make sure they work? Baxter asked. Son, are you telling me you haven't tested that stuff? Frank asked in mid-chew on a piece of jerky. Well, No, I said. We just got the stuff a couple days ago, and we only got the 10. Well, let's hope it works, and let's hope Mayfair doesn't have him an army down there, 'cause if it don't work, we could be riding into our last fight, Frank said grimly. I'm positive it'll work. Should we test it, though? Baxter asked. You ain't got shit for brains, Merle said. You blow up one of them sticks, it's like shouting our arrival through a mouth trumpet. Well, it might not be as loud as all that, Baxter said. It might be soft dynamite. Is there such a thing as soft dynamite? Johnny asked, because that's one thing I've never heard tell of before. There's only dynamite, Frank said. The idea of soft dynamite is foolish. The sound of the boom is about how much explosive you use. What do you think one of these sticks will do? Baxter asked. Well, I think we've established for a fact that we don't know fuck about those sticks. For all we know, they could all be duds, Frank said. Then he spat on the ground to let us know he was disgusted. I was there when we got the dynamite, I said, and I met the man who gave it to us. And he didn't strike me as the sort, especially after the explosion I saw today, that would make something that wouldn't cause a big boom. He didn't seem the type. I'm guessing this stuff will make quite a racket. If it doesn't, we know where the guy lives, Baxter added. And he knows it. I looked at Baxter for a long moment. The man had crap for a short-term memory. That is to say, we knew where he lived, Baxter added. He don't live nowhere no more.